I came across this clip this morning, and there's going to be 3 clips in here. Now, the first clip is about black people being hung on in effigy on a Florida resident's lawn, supposedly as a quote-unquote Halloween joke. Not funny. Now, I've seen this before, and I don't know if this is absolutely brand new, which it probably is, or a clip from a story last year where this was done. Now, I tend to believe that it's the real deal because there's a Trump Pence sign on the lawn, so I think this is current. The second one, I did a brief video on, which is that guy screaming Jew-SA, not USA, Jew-SA. The third one I hadn't come across, and this one is out of Phoenix at a Trump rally, and I'm going to comment on that one after that particular clip runs.
Donald Trump and his supporters continue to amaze folks with unbelievable antics that seem to define his campaign. For example, as in a painted Halloween joke, someone thought it was funny to lynch 2 dark-skinned dummies dressed in hip-hop gear from a tree in their yard in Florida. Note the Trump Pence sign in the yard as well. Also at a Trump rally in Arizona, a Trump supporter chants Jew-SA at a group of reporters who were there to cover the event.
Now, you notice this guy was throwing up a Mason sign, okay? And let me run that back for you real quick. If you notice his right hand with the 3 fingers and the circle, he's throwing up a sign there. Okay, it's a Mason sign. White Mason, anyway. All right.
USA! Trump spokeswoman Hope Hicks stated the campaign strongly condemns this kind of rhetoric and behavior. It is not acceptable at our rallies or elsewhere. Well, at another rally in North Carolina, a black man was escorted out of a Trump rally. Watch this.
We have a protester. By the way, were you paid $1,500 to be a thug? Where's the protester? Where is he? Was he paid? You can get him out. Get him out. Folks, did you see where through WikiLeaks we found out that Clinton was paying people $1,500 plus an iPhone to go out and be violent at our rallies? Okay? It's a disgrace.
Turns out.
Now, just so that you know, okay, that guy was a Trump supporter. He was a Trump supporter, which Roland is going to document as soon as I complete this. But a black guy, one of the few at a Trump rally, what made Donald Trump think that this guy was a protester? Okay, no signs, no nothing, but all of a sudden they can find this guy. And also notice the rabid Trump fans, nobody's jumping in there swinging at the guy, etc. This guy was a plant. He was a Trump plant so that Donald Trump could bring up those WikiLeaks memos, okay? And not saying that, you know, Clinton campaign or people working for people that work for the Clinton campaign didn't do crap, but Donald Trump basically doesn't have clean hands either. So now he's got this phony black guy that's supposedly a protester showing up so that he can rile up his crowd. All right, here's the rest of the clip where Roland basically indicates that they interviewed the guy, and the guy admitted that he is a Trump supporter and has been a Trump supporter for a long time.
Turns out the man was actually a Trump supporter who has been a pen pal with the GOP presidential candidate for years. He was mistaken as a protester in the crowd. Was he?
It wasn't no mistake. That was basically a setup, okay? But that just tells you that Trump has no respect and will use any situation, either real or contrived, to try to push and rile up his, I am not even going to call him that, his white supremacist followers in support of him.
Tossed out because he was one of the few black Trump supporters at the rally? Or is this simply more of what we can expect if Donald Trump is president? On our panel, Rashad.
It's more of what we can expect with Donald Trump as president, with Steve Bannon, who basically is the CEO of Breitbart, which is a white supremacist site. Donald Trump has turned all of these white supremacists loose. I'm still waiting to hear a comment from the Trump campaign regarding David Duke's comments that Trump supporters are his supporters. But we're not going to hear anything about that. Anyway, let me play the rest of the clip from the Roland Martin News One Now show.
Robinson, Eugene Craig, Jessica Bird, and Spencer Overton. I tweeted something yesterday. There was an analysis done of some 10,000 Trump supporters on social media, and at least 1/3 of them follow white nationalists.
Absolutely. You know, with Steve Bannon being the campaign chairman, Donald Trump for the last couple years minimally has been stroking the darker sense of American populism. What you saw there with the USA, I mean, you see it online every day in Breitbart. You see it online every day in the darkest parts of the internet. You see it online with the alt-right. Which is, just American racist by another term. Donald Trump has brought these folk to the forefront and has given them a platform that they feel as though is their own.
But it's also, again, I said earlier in the show that this election has started to feel intellectually insulting. We see that clip of the USA, then you have the press secretary saying that the campaign condones that type of language, followed by a clip of...
No, she said doesn't condone.
Doesn't condone that language, followed by a clip of Donald Trump from the stage calling a black person a thug who had been paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign. Your campaign explicitly condones that type of language and is using it and is inciting it across this country.
Rashad, I don't think people really, I mean, again, when you see this, when you see how white nationalists are salivating at the idea of Donald Trump becoming president, again, when you see him hiring Steve Bannon, and you have former Breitbart staffers who say that is an absolutely racist, bigoted, anti-Semitic website. This is the guy who Trump has chosen to be his campaign chair.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he launched his campaign by calling a whole group of people rapists. Like this has been he came onto the stage by questioning the legitimacy of the first black president. So none of us should be surprised. I think what's also happening here is this is the confluence of Donald Trump and reality TV and social media, this place where the villain becomes the star, but also what's been happening in the internet space where coded language has gotten more sort of access, where people have been able to find each other through chat rooms forums, through Reddit threads, and other places, my organization has done a lot of work to push back against Reddit, holding corporations who sponsor Reddit accountable for some of the racist threads. And as we've been inside of it, it's been this space where people have been able to find each other, been able to build more energy together, feel like they're connected, and then no longer wanted to be in secret, wanted to be public. And Donald Trump has given them the ability to provide voice to some of that. I remember we were going after Pat Buchanan, trying to get him fired from MSNBC after he released his last book, and he went on the Diane Rehm show and called President Obama's mom an ethno-masochist. We didn't know what an ethno-masochist was, so we had to go and look it up, and it was only on these sort of white supremacist sites, basically because President Obama's mom had dated men of color, had married men of color, that she was killing the white race. But this was the type of coded language that was used privately. Now Donald Trump has given voice to it. The question will be is, do 50% of the American public accept that? Do 50% of the voters, the registered voters who will turn out, accept that? That's what we're all worried about. That's what we're all waiting to see.
You know, if I could jump in for a second, I wanted to piggyback on something that Jessica said earlier and brought to my mind. You know, this is a candidate that went to Sanford, Florida, and gave his speech on young black youth being shot down and killed on their way from the grocery store with a loaf of bread. I mean, you know, literally, the hollow ground of Trayvon Martin. I mean, this is, we're at a point in time in American politics where it's become a norm.
But actually, I think to Rashad's point, can I ask you, so you're the vice chairman of the Republican Party, are you going to vote for him?
Absolutely not. I wrote in Larry Hogan and Nick Lee Ambrose for vice president in Maryland. I think, looking forward past 2016 in 8 days, look at leaders that actually have brought people together. And I think Governor Hogan, if I could put a plug in, with the most popular governor in the country, has laid a model out of, how to actually bring folk together from across the spectrum, across races, across creeds.
Spencer, what we are seeing, and I think people, especially, I've talked to a lot of different people, and I've heard some millennials say, well, we survived slavery, we can survive a Trump presidency.
Yeah, that's certainly not the case here. I mean, there is a clear choice here, and this race issue is huge. You can't just say, Cornell Belcher did the survey. Folks said, hey, we can't trust Hillary, and Donald Trump's a racist, so let's just stay home. I think that's completely wrong here. This is about choices. You got to make a choice and engage.
Well, and there's no doubt in my mind here. I mean, you're dealing with somebody who flat out is appealing to bigotry. And you're dealing with somebody who is, look, the whole birther issue, that was questioning the legitimacy of America's first black president. And he continuously lied about it. He continuously said over and over and over again that, oh no, I pretty much gave it up in 2011, when he continued it. That's what actually gave his campaign legs. He was formulating this model, if you will, with that birther issue, and has continued it throughout this campaign.
And I think, and back to your point, I appreciate you talking a little bit about Larry Hogan and supporting him. The other question for Republicans is for the folks that have supported Donald Trump, maybe even criticized him, but still supported him in the mainstream. The question will be, how do they move forward, especially in an increasingly diverse America? How do they move forward? Because the question isn't just, do you make the easy choice of saying, I don't agree with that, but still support him? Or do you make the tough choice and stand up against racism and bigotry, which you're doing, but which many Republicans have not done? In fact, have sort of stoked coded language for years inside the party, and then when it comes out real public, it's like you say really bad stuff to your kids at home, and then you act embarrassed when they repeat you in the supermarket. This is what's happening.
The thing is this, you have folk like Paul Ryan who have tackled poverty from an entirely different perspective of you normally see in Republicans, because of the way we've had folk like Marco Rubio and Tim Scott engage him. We have people like Nikki Haley who have that are pushing criminal justice reform.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Nikki Haley just came out and said last week, at the end of the week, she was voting for Donald Trump.
There is a balancing act between party loyalty and trajectory for the future.
But here's the point.
At the end of the day,
but at one point, does a person have a conscience?
That's right.
At one point, does a person actually say, you know what? I know I'm a Republican. I know I said I support the nominee, but it is unconscionable to support this man.
And Speaker Ryan has drawn that line in the sand.
Well, but actually he didn't pull his endorsement.
He pulled his endorsement.
No, he hasn't.
Well, he hasn't.
He thought, I mean, I'll play this, going and saying, I'm not going to defend a person, I'm not going to campaign for a person, is essentially pulling endorsement in action.
But what you have is you got many Republicans who are afraid to tick off Trump supporters because they're afraid to lose their own jobs. Senator Marco Rubio criticized him, but he's still standing beside him, still says he should be president of the United States. I mean, that's
when it comes down to the matchup between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, it depends on what you see as disqualifying. To a large part of America, the way Hillary Clinton has handled this email scandal, the way Hillary Clinton has handled sensitive information is absolutely disqualifying to put on that security risk.
I suggest it's disqualifying when a person chooses to lie in bed with repugnant racists like Donald Trump has.
Donald Trump refusing to repudiate David Duke, somebody that's been a known racist and a leader of the KKK, was absolutely reprehensible.
Again, the bottom line is white supremacists, and I'm not going to call them the alt-right. They are white supremacists, white nationalists who would love nothing more to see Donald Trump in the Oval Office. I gotta go.
All right, so anyway, that's my take on it as far as all these people that are calling Trump everything but a child of God, but then with the next breath turn around and state that they are going to support him, vote for him, etc., like Marco Rubio, like Ted Cruz, who Donald Trump basically just attacked his wife. If there's one thing that I will not forgive, okay, is that when another man attacks my wife or my kids, I could probably forgive most anything else. But when you cross that line attacking my wife and my kids, that, in my opinion, is something that you cannot be forgiven for. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. No reason, nothing. And Ted Cruz is not a nice person. I'm trying to clean up my image. And I thought he had a backbone. I can't stand Ted Cruz, by the way. But I thought at least he had a backbone when he jumped out there and said that he would not support Donald Trump, given what Donald Trump had said about his wife. I might not have liked him, but I respected his position. Now, he's reversed that position and says that he will support the nominee, even after all of this crap. Marco Rubio, he was just a wimp, plain and simple, okay? He called Donald Trump out, as I stated earlier, for being a con man, etc. But he is stating that a con man, a misogynist, and all the titles that you want to throw on him are better than Hillary Clinton. And that's just, that's even with the email scandals, that's just a straight out lie. Ben Carson, I don't even want to talk about Ben Carson. Ben Carson has no spine whatsoever. And then you get all of those phony pastors that jumped out on the stage setting up those quote-unquote black interaction situations, because that's all they were, and they were setups. So the one church that Donald Trump did happen to go into, after the black pastor checked him, he was out of that church in less than 90 seconds. So that's what I believe Trump's America will look like. He gets in, all of his white supremacist buddies get into positions of power, and that will be the beginning of what will be, in my opinion, a race war, because Donald Trump being in that position is going to turn all those guys loose. And what happens after that? Frightening.